Coming up, we meet the National Native American Law Enforcement Association's Police Chief of the Year. An upcoming film covers the importance and history of buffalo, and we get an early look at a first-of-its-kind Indigenous Peoples Day celebration. I am Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for those interviews plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amidawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. We start today with a look at a first independent assessment of damage caused by former President Donald Trump's border wall. It found that over a 4-year period, federal agencies constructed roughly 450 miles of barriers, and it expedited construction by waiving environmental and other laws. That assessment comes from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, who released its review last week. The GAO consulted with several agencies and groups for the report, including the Tohono O'odham tribe in Arizona and the Viejas Band of Kumeyaay Indians in California. Damage included a Tohono O'odham burial site that was blasted, as well as saguaro cactuses that were killed. Trump has long argued that a strong physical barrier along the border is necessary to keep drugs and people out of the U.S. illegally. The GAO is now asking the Department of the Interior to work with U.S. Customs and Border Protection to ease the damage. It said the agencies should work together to decide how much the repair work will cost, how to fund it, and how long it will take. In California, a local man discovered what happened if you dig up ancestral burial grounds. Vance Franklin Myers of Oakhurst, California, was sentenced last week to 3 years of probation and $10,000 for removing archaeological resources from public lands. According to court documents, the 35-year-old excavated Native American cultural artifacts and human remains on U.S. Forest Service land. Artifacts removed from the site included beads, sacred stones, and arrowheads, according to prosecutors. We turn now to the world of numbers, where we have a staggering new one, 523. That's what the latest research shows is the number of boarding schools where Indigenous children were stripped of their lifeways. The National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition recently released a new interactive map showing every boarding school it has identified. That map includes 115 schools not previously listed. The database is part of the group's mission to help relatives heal from the trauma of this era. Samuel Torres from the coalition said, quote, "Every Indigenous person in the country has been impacted by the deliberate attempt to destroy Native families and cultures through boarding schools. This work is difficult but necessary to uncover the truth about this dark chapter." And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. As Chief of Police for the Saint Regis Mohawk Tribe in New York, Matthew Rourke faces some unique challenges, not the least of which is the international border that runs right through his nation. But Rourke has risen to the occasion. He was recently named Chief of Police of the Year by the National Native American Law Enforcement Association. ICT's Stewart Huntington caught up with the chief and asked him about the honor.
I was very humbled and kind of unaware that this award was being given to me. It's at the 2023 NALIA conference, which is the National Native American Law Enforcement Association conference held in Las Vegas every year.
Sir, one of the big issues in law enforcement in Indian country is relationships with other law enforcement agencies. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
Partnerships is always the best thing to have, right? We have a great working relationship with our local towns that are around us. At the federal level, we have a port of entry that's about 6 miles away from us, the Fort Covington port of entry, and we have
that's with Canada, correct, sir?
Yes, yeah. Both ports of entries are over there for the U.S.-Canada border. So you have just down the road from there, and then right at the edge of our territory, about a quarter mile down the road, is our major, the Messina port of entry. So we are a unique area because of a international border that goes directly through our community that divides our community between a north and a southern boundary. You go onto a little island and then you cross over, and there's another customs building, the CBSA, the Canadian Border Service Agency, that our people have to travel through every day. They have to pass their house in order to, they have to go through the customs, and because of that border, they got to turn around and come back. Those are the agencies that are here, and just around our community on the Canadian side. You have our Akwesasne Mohawk Police Services, which is our brother or sister agency just to the north of us that covers our northern portion, the Canadian portion of our reserve. And they are also Quebec and Ontario certified because of our uniqueness of here. And surrounding that, we have our local police departments, the Cornwall Police Department, the Long Sault, all those little townships that are out there. But they also have the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, the Quebec Provincial Police, the RCMP. So around this small area of our community, you can tell that we have several law enforcement agencies in this whole North Country.
Which can breed confusion. And to help ease communication in this complicated landscape, Chief Rourke helped build a cultural sensitivity tool.
This is an introduction to the culture, history, and contemporary issues of Akwesasne. It's intended for those who serve the public at border crossings close to the community. We hope to inspire you to learn more about us and our unique cultural heritage.
So we actually did a video on that and with Customs and Border Protection. And that's kind of what brought this award about, was my partnership with the Border Patrol and with Customs to understand that, it might have been a result of these agencies don't know how to treat maybe Native people when they came through because they never had nothing to fall back on, right? So now they have a video. So a whole bunch of agencies around here, when they get transfers, they show them this video now. It's only been for the last year. That here, watch this video.
Where Chief Rourke stresses the list, L-I-S-T, where L stands initially for language.
Our people, when you have your language, that has to carry on because it covers a lot of things. It covers, if you lose your language, some people say that everything else will follow. So our language is huge. Our land, land is, every Native community, whether or not our waters are being destroyed by something or our land, they're drilling out west. We're always going to tell you, this is our land. We're going to protect it. Those are two things under the L. Under the I have as our identity. I identify as Mohawk. When you ask you, where are you from? I'm a Mohawk from Akwesasne. People from Seneca Nation are going to say, I'm Seneca. The whole nation are going to say that. We're going to tell you right up front because we're proud to be a Native person. And they're going to tell you that when you get pulled over or do whatever, where are you from? So that they're going to identify as. S is our sovereignty, our right to have our own police department, right to have our own law enforcement agency, a right to have our own health services, our education, and so on and so on. That is our sovereign right to have our own government. The T is for treaties, such as the J Treaty, that allows us to cross that border internationally, to buy goods on both sides of the borders, to be able to cross, to go in our community without being challenged. And the last one is trust, T for trust. Huh. And all of that begins if you get pulled over, again, just coming from the law enforcement perspective. If you come through a U.S. Customs, you come through these things, you get pulled over outside the territory, and how does that elder feel when that gets pulled over by a trooper or by a customs person or border patrol? And where are you coming from? Oh, you're coming from the reservation. In their minds, it goes all the way back to residential schooling. What happened with law enforcement from way back then, the nervousness of how they feel. They're not jittery because of the fact of while their license is valid, they're nervous about how some of their parents are treated, right? So you have to be with them. There's that trust of how they're going to feel treated. So there's that trust factor of where all these things have come apart. So we have to instill that trust by teaching this awareness, this cultural sensitivity. What's in the car? There's medicine in there. It's sweetgrass. It's our tobacco. You can't touch that. These certain things, and know about our ceremonies. So that's the trust.
Chief Matthew Rourke, thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate it.
I'm joined now by ICT's Paris, Wise, and Phoenix for a look at an upcoming project exploring an animal that we talk about often on our newscast, and that's buffalo.
Thanks, Leah. The American Buffalo is a two-part, 4-hour film that explores the significance of buffalo, past and present. I spoke with consulting producer Julianna Brannum to learn more. Take a look.
The American Buffalo is a very comprehensive look at the history of the American buffalo through the eyes of several characters involved in the full story, both in the destruction of the animal, those indigenous people who survived and built their entire cultures around, and the amazing sort of comeback of the animal through the work of several unlikely groups of people.
And can you talk about your involvement with this film and the production process?
I am a descendant of Kawana Parker. He is my great-great-great-grandfather. And a chunk of the story centers on him and his efforts to restore the bison. And so they reached out to me to see about working with them. And of course I was ecstatic and joined the team and, helped through the whole process of securing some interviews, creating, forming relationships with people in the Native community that work with buffalo restoration. I assisted with archival research, and then of course in post-production, helping to kind of get guidance on some of the nuances of the Indigenous perspective.
Who were some of the experts interviewed in the film, and how were they chosen?
Well, we have a variety of experts who work in buffalo conservation specifically, and scholars, Rosalind LaPierre, Jermaine White, Sarah Dant, just an amazing collection of diverse voices. And also, who I was most thrilled with was N. Scott Momaday, and his perspective as a Kiowa person and how the buffalo relates to us culturally, I think was a really important person to have, an important voice to talk about, because I think it's difficult for people to really understand that deep connection that many of our tribes in this country had, and the dependence on that animal, not just for survival, sustenance, but for their whole cultural belief systems and spiritual beliefs. So we worked hard to get a wide range of voices, and not just the academics, not just the scholars per se, but those that are deeply rooted and involved in the work. You don't need a PhD to understand the relationship to this animal.
I'm so glad you touched on that. That's a perfect segue, because oftentimes genocide or Native people in these historical contexts are recounted from the lens of colonization, and Natives are bystanders in their stories, as opposed to us hearing it directly from the Native perspective. So how is Native representation and narrative approached in this film?
I mean, it was obviously from the very beginning of the project, something that was very important. You have a lot of complicated non-Native people characters. They're not necessarily very sympathetic people, even those that are working in conservation, in the later years, as they were working to bring the buffalo back. But they're complex individuals, and I really appreciated how the writer Dayton Duncan and Ken Burns and the whole team really worked to not sugarcoat anything and to be pretty explicit about who these people were, regardless of their intentions. And so, you know, including the Indigenous voices throughout is completely imperative to the story. You wouldn't have the story if you didn't have those voices. So I think we did a really good job of contextualizing those relationships and that history. And it's very complicated. Like I said, it's very nuanced. It's not black and white. These relationships were fraught with one another. We have completely, you know, differing value systems and worldviews that were in complete conflict with one another. And so, you know, I think that's what makes the story so special, is you're not seeing it from the lens of those that came, the colonizers that came and destroyed the animal, or those that came back, you know, in the end to help restore it. But you're getting the full view of why this story is so tragic and so important. You give that background on the Native experience, but then it also provides sort of a contemporary lesson for us, because we still engage in these sort of things where we are still a destructive, you know, society in many ways. So I think that's, you know, the real beauty, I think, of this is that it gives you that deeper insight than you would see with any other film. And I think that truly comes from the voices of the Native people themselves. So
you touched on acclaimed documentarian Ken Burns, who produced and directed this project. What was it like working with him, and had you worked with him before?
I have not worked with him before, and it was such a wonderful experience. The entire team is so devoted and so just passionate about getting the story right and accurate. And even though Ken is a non-Native person, the way he was able to incorporate those stories with such detail and care and sensitivity was really honorable. I mean, I was really happy with the experience that I had.
There's some really beautiful and fun to watch footage of the buffalo. Where was a lot of that filmed?
Oh my gosh, we filmed everywhere. Probably nearly every buffalo herd in America. Yellowstone, obviously, probably featured the most. The Nature Conservancy, their different grasslands, the tall grass prairie in Oklahoma, Caprock Canyon in Texas. It's just, you know, the Badlands in South Dakota. You really get an understanding of the expanse of our country and where these animals roamed and where they're being reintroduced again today.
What do you hope viewers across Indian country take away from this film?
I hope that viewers take away the lesson of our history. I hope that people can better recognize our influence on the environment, and not in just the destructive way, but also in ways that we can start rebuilding from those past wrongs. I hope it helps people to understand Native people a little bit better, to understand our value systems and our worldviews and how we view the earth and the world in which we live, and how to protect our natural world and resources. And everybody that sees it cries, and I think they cry for a couple of reasons. It's a shameful part of our history, but in the end, it is, you see these different groups of people with the very divergent belief systems working together to rebuild rebuild this species. And so, and the work is still being done today, which is really exciting. And with our new Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland, allocating monies towards the conservation of buffalo, with tribes being in the driver's seat, I think is a really inspiring piece of our history. And I hope that we can all look back on this modern day time to see how valuable those kinds of efforts are.
Well, The American Buffalo will air on PBS on October 16th and 17th. Julianna Brannum, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Next month, cities and tribal nations across the United States will celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. In Phoenix, Arizona, this year's celebration on October 9th will be the first to be recognized as a paid city holiday. The celebration includes a major festival downtown. Joining me now in the studio is Autumn Rose Williams. She works with the Indigenous Art Space Cahokia and is one of the coordinators for this year's Indigenous Peoples Day celebration. Autumn, welcome to the ICT Newscast.
Thank you for having me.
So let's jump right in here. Tell us about the plans for this year's Indigenous Peoples Day celebration.
Yeah, so Indigenous Peoples Day this year here in Phoenix, it's not just the day. We're also having celebrations leading up to the Monday. So we have a launch party that is going to be at the Phoenix Art Museum featuring local matriarchs and their art collection. And we're also doing an Indigenous Film Festival, Indigenous film screening on the Saturday right before that Monday, featuring a film focusing on Native American mascots. And that's going to be at the Burton Bar Central Library.
And on the actual day of Indigenous Peoples Day, where will all of these events be held? And for people who are interested in going, what can they expect?
Yes, it's going to be at the Margaret T. Hance Park, and it's going to be a day filled with different activities. There's going to be a skateboard competition. There's a Rise geodesic dome art installation, and there's also a music festival stage, and it's going to feature a series of Native music artists. There's a lot of food vendors and craft vendors that are going to be there. So there's a lot of different things that people can come and do.
And something that stands out to me is it sounds like there's something for everyone of all ages. It sounds like children and even older people.
Yes, yes. And we also have special areas for our elders, for seating areas to enjoy the different shows and everything.
Tell us why an event like this is so important to bring to the Phoenix Valley, specifically for non-Native people who maybe are wanting to learn more about tribal communities or learn more about Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah, it's really important because there is such a large Native presence here, and if people are interested in learning about the diverse Native communities that exist, it's a great event to do that at. There's going to be featured people from the local Phoenix area, and it's an opportunity for people to talk firsthand and up front with people, to ask them questions, to ask how they can get involved and truly learn.
I know that events like this don't happen overnight and they don't happen with just one person. Tell us about the team of people working behind the scenes to bring this event to life.
Yeah, we have a majority Indigenous team of people on the committee working to get this done, where our coordinator, she's Indigenous, me, I'm working with Melody and Unique and Candace. So we're working with a range of people who have a very big skill set in their craft, as well as know firsthand what it means to be Indigenous and come from Indigenous communities.
In your own opinion and in your own reflections, what does Indigenous Peoples Day mean to you?
Indigenous Peoples Day is a day to truly educate people and bring awareness to who we are as Indigenous people. For so long, we weren't the people in charge of telling our stories, so now we are telling our stories and telling our histories and showing people who we are, present day, as well as how we continue to live and continue our traditions and our cultures and our languages. So coming to the festival, you'll see how we embrace contemporary culture with the skateboard competition and through our music, but also how we embrace who we are as Indigenous people and our cultures and our languages.
Something really interesting is I went to last year's festival, and it seemed like every Native person in the state was at this block party, but now it'll be at a park. Are you expecting a big turnout this year?
Yes, we definitely are, and it's Indigenize the Valley. We want to highlight the 22 Native communities here in Phoenix, but it's really to highlight all Indigenous communities, and you'll see that present at the festival. So if you haven't heard of it, come out. We expect for a big turnout and a diverse turnout too.
We don't have much time left, but I do want to make sure that our viewers watching this know where to go to find more information. So if they want to learn more, where should they find you?
Check out our website, ipdphoenixfest.com. You can look up Cahokia on social media, and all of the information will be on our social media.
Autumn Rose Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.